This is an introduction to pedigrees, and this is how human traits can be studied. And so we're going to see little symbols of little diagrams of circles and squares. And this is a good way to study human genetics. And it's especially helpful if you have a good family record in a large family where you can trace the genetics back a few generations. Now, some basic things about the symbols. We have circles and squares. And the reason we're using these is because this is an ethical way of studying human genetics. We have a lot of people who sometimes will go to genetic engineers or genetic counseling engineers. And basically, these will be scientists who can help couples who have had trouble with diseases or different traits that may be lethal to their baby. And they can make sure that they have children without those lethal or deadly traits or diseases. So looking at the symbols, we have squares that are males, circles that are females. If we see this horizontal line, it means a marriage. A vertical line means they're children, and these are siblings here. If you see Roman numerals over to the side, or you can make your own if there aren't any, this tells you the number of generations. And people are usually listed from left to right in order of birth, so oldest to youngest. In this example here, you see 4 generations, and you see 3 people who are shaded in. That means they're affected or that they have it. So the not shaded in circles and squares will be normal. The shaded in ones, whatever it may be, could be a disease, it could be a trait. That means they are affected. So we've gone over the Roman numerals already. As far as identifying which person you're talking about, you basically are going to count from left to right. So basically, I have this arrow here to help you with that. And then notice that there's 3 individuals who have it. So if we look at Roman numeral 2, person 1, 2, 3, we know that that's one of the people we're talking about. That's another person. And then there's the 3rd person that we're talking about. So 2, 3, 4, 2, and 4, 3. There are 3 patterns of inheritance that we're going to be looking at. There's a 4th one, but it's not common. It's rare, and it's because this is a lethal, it can be a lethal trait or disorder. So you're going to ask yourself 2 questions. So this is a cheat sheet I made years ago just to get my students a little bit more comfortable with these. So the first question you're going to ask is, are there more males that are shaded than females? The second question you're going to look at or ask yourself, depending on your answer, if it's yes, you're done. You know that it's sex-linked recessive. But if it's no, you know that it's autosomal, which means that it's not on the sex chromosomes, it's on chromosomes 1 through 22. And you have to ask yourself a second question. Does everyone that's shaded have at least one parent that's also shaded? And depending on your answer to this, it may be yes, it may be no. So if your answer is no to both, you have autosomal recessive. If it's no to the first one and yes to the second one, it's autosomal dominant. And if it's yes to the first question, then we know it's X-linked recessive. So let's see what we mean by that. Autosomal recessive, this is rare. Now, once you determine how it's inherited, the first thing you should do is make a key. And you will notice that your keys are going to be different because you're talking about what's shaded, depending on how you say it's inherited. So if it's autosomal recessive, that means the ones shaded in are going to be 2 little letters. If it's autosomal dominant, it's going to be at least 1 big letter, and that means the 2 little letters are not shaded. And if it's sex-linked recessive, that means if it's shaded, females will have to have 2 little letters, and males will have only 1. Normal females will have at least 1 big letter. Males only have 1, so we know what their genotype will be. And so this will be just the introduction, and now we'll look at specifics as we go into the next video.